Hello, ghosties. You're listening to Not My Ghost.
Not my problem. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jen.
Whether you're a skeptic, a true believer, or somewhere in between, join us for a journey into the unknown.
Because remember, when it comes to the paranormal, it may not be our problem,
but it's certainly someone's problem.
Happy Memorial Day to everyone.
Yes, we hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day, or had
Memorial Day.
a wonderful Memorial Day, and you had, I don't know, a cookout, and you had some burgers and dogs on the grill, and you got to lay out by the pool. If you have one of those jobs where you have to work, sorry about that, but thanks for doing what you do, because usually those are pretty important jobs.
Yeah. And welcome to summer, I guess, officially. Not officially season-wise, but Memorial Day is like the kickoff of summer.
I am looking forward to spending some time at the pool.
I've already done that because I live in Florida.
You have. I've done that too in Florida with you recently, but it was not very warm, although I did weirdly get that sunburn. My husband came down and put sunblock on himself, and for some reason, I took the sunblock from him, and my brain told me I put it on me, but I did not.
I did that Sunday, this past Sunday at the beach. I put sunblock on my arms and my legs, and for some reason, forgot to put it on my chest.
Ah, fun.
And my chest got sunburned.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was the area that got bad with me at your house, was my chest.
Yeah. That's what happens when you forget to put sunblock on. Wear your sunscreen, everybody.
It's important.
It is important. Look at us, life lessons.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It's that darn ADHD.
I know. I don't think I've ever really done that before, but I was just sitting at the beach. We had just gotten there, and I was hungry. I was about to eat my sandwich, and I was like, oh, I'm going to throw some sunscreen on real quick, and just completely forgot to put it on my chest.
I have forgotten to do literally almost everything it is humanly possible to forget to do at one point or another.
That's fair. That's fair.
Welcome to our scripted, unscripted banter.
Yes, welcome. I have a question for you today.
Okay.
Of course I don't. Why do we always say that? I have a question for you.
Know.
Like I have forgotten in the past.
Sometimes I will ask you if you have a question for me, and I know that
true.
you do.
Well, again, I have forgotten.
Jen, what question do you have for me today?
Okay. My question for you is, what paranormal experience has freaked you out the most?
I think it would have to be the full body apparition of the man in the bathroom at the old house.
Okay.
Because I was used to like the shadow figure and like the other stuff, other happenings that would go on, and things, would open and close, and noises and things that would move and things like that. But it shocked me because I didn't know. We had lived there long enough that I was familiar with the activity in the house, and that was out of left field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have an answer for this question.
Oh.
Because I honestly can't think of a experience that I have had that has really freaked me out or scared me. I haven't had anything that extreme. I mean, I saw the man in your bathroom as well, but I don't want to say I was expecting it because I didn't ever think I actually would, but I knew it was a possibility. So It didn't really freak me out.
I don't know. So you have to think back to when this happened. I was while I always loved the paranormal and ghost stories and all of that, having activity in my home was a fairly new thing.
Right.
Just maybe like 2.5, 3 years into living in a house with activity. I'd like to think that wouldn't like, freak me out or scare me as much now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I
I
don't
would
know, I think
imagine.
anytime you open a door and then there's a ghost standing there, it's you're gonna have a, like, "Oh my god," reaction at first,
Yeah.
but
But
that
I
one
think,
really, like, I was properly scared
yeah.
when that happened.
I think for me, I just saw him in like behind my shoulder, like in the mirror. I guess I didn't see him directly. So I guess that's why I just didn't get that freaked out by it.
Yeah, he was, like, standing, like, in front of the bathtub when I opened the door, and, the
Yeah.
bathtub, when you open the door, you're staring at the bathtub, so
Right.
it was, like,
Yeah.
right in front of that, and that freaked me out.
Yeah. I could imagine.
Yeah,
Okay. Are you ready to dive in?
I am.
Before I introduce today's topic, I just want to let everybody know that this was originally going to be a Patreon bonus mini episode. And I started researching and just found too much good shit and had to make it a full blown episode because it was too long to be a Patreon mini episode.
Yes. She was very excited about it too when she
I
told me.
was. I was.
Yeah.
Not all gardens are a peaceful escape. Some are rooted in darkness. This week, we are digging deep, literally and figuratively, into the twisted roots of nature's dark side. Think plants are just pretty greenery in your windowsill? Think again. From lethal leaves and poisonous petals to gardens cursed by grief and ghost, we're unearthing the strange intersection of botany and the bizarre. You'll learn how plants communicate through underground networks and chemical signals like something out of a sci fi movie, and how some of them have been used in rituals, witchcraft, and even assassinations.
I learned recently that the smell of fresh cut grass, that when you smell that,
Hmm.
that is a chemical signal released by the grass to let the other grass know that it is in danger.
Yes,
Yeah.
I knew that.
I didn't. I just learned that listening to a biologist on YouTube. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, hopefully, you'll learn some new things today. Then we'll stroll very carefully through haunted and cursed gardens where sorrow, death, and mystery are forever in bloom. Because sometimes the most dangerous things don't grow in haunted houses, they grow around them. So grab your gardening gloves and maybe some sage, and we'll explore the twisted tales where nature meets the supernatural.
I'm excited.
Me too. This was a fun episode to research. But first, we're going to do some facts. So I have some fun facts about plants. The Mimosa pudica,
I already like
aka
it. It's got mimosa in the title. I'm
and
down.
and pudica. I mean, can't get any better than that. AKA also known as the sensitive plant or the shy plant, folds up when its leaves are touched. It is like the introvert of the plant world.
Well, I do not become an introvert when I got a couple mimosas in me.
I don't either,
Yeah.
actually. This fascinating little plant reacts almost instantly to physical contact. Its feathery leaves snap shut and droop as if it's hiding. Scientists believe this might be a defense mechanism to scare off predators or shake off insects. Native to South and Central America, it is often used in magical or spiritual practices for responsive energy.
I like it.
Next, did you know that trees can remember trauma?
I did not necessarily know that, but I know that trauma is pretty bad. So
Yeah,
I
same,
it doesn't shock me.
same tree, same.
Yeah.
Trees don't just stand there silently for hundreds of years, they record everything. When a tree experiences an extreme drought, fire, or injury, it creates distinct markers in its growth rings. These memories influence how the tree reacts to future stress, like growing more cautiously after a hard season, or even altering how it absorbs water.
I was really hoping that when you said that trees don't just grow silently, that you were gonna tell me about trees that, like, yell or scream.
No, unfortunately not. I wish though. That would be cool.
That would be kinda terrifying, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. Okay, last fun fact is in the 17th century Netherlands, tulips were so coveted that a single bulb could be worth more than a house.
What?
People sold livestock, land, and even life savings chasing this floral fortune. When the markets crashed in 1637, fortunes were lost overnight. Today, it is seen as one of the first recorded economic bubbles.
That's hysterical.
I know.
The one of the first recorded economic bubble burst is tulips.
Tulips.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. Okay, scary facts, Kelly.
Alright, I'm here for it.
Some flowers only bloom at night and attract the dead. Flowers like moonflowers and night blooming jasmine open under the cover of darkness and are tied to ghost stories in multiple cultures. In some folklore, they are said to attract spirits or signal a haunting.
I didn't know that jasmine bloomed at night.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Hmm.
Yeah. Then there are the carrion flowers that smell like death. Flowers like the corpse flower and rafflesia emit a stench of rotting meat to attract pollinators like flies and beetles. The smell is so strong, it can be detected from blocks away.
I wonder if they're pretty flowers.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look at a picture of them.
Hmm.
Probably. Next, in Appalachian folklore, there were certain flowers that were planted not just for their scent or their beauty, but to act as ghost detectors. If a flower suddenly wilted or failed to bloom in a thriving garden, it was taken as a sign that a restless spirit was nearby.
Interesting.
Yeah. To ward off hauntings, people planted herbs with protective qualities like rosemary for remembrance and psychic shielding, lavender for peace and spirit repelling power, and sage for cleansing negative energy.
Hmm.
And last but not least, the bleeding heart, which is also known as the Decentra skeptabilis. Yeah, we're going to go with that. Is a
Spectabilis,
delicate
yeah.
yeah, is a delicate pink flower shaped like a heart with a drop shaped bloom that literally drips from its base. In Japanese folklore, it is said to have grown from the blood of a heartbroken lover. In Victorian times, it symbolized unrequited love and mourning. The plant's uncanny appearance and somber symbolism have earned it a place in many haunted garden tales. Some say if you pick a bleeding heart on a full moon, you might dream of the one who got away.
I like it.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were so many, like, creepy facts about flowers, I guess, is what
Oh,
I'm
we're gonna get even deeper into some creepy facts about flowers.
that's awesome.
Because next we are gonna talk about plants that are used in mourning.
Okay.
So people have planted specific flowers to mourn the dead. These gardens were often said to be haunted by those who they've honored. There's a whole language of mourning flowers, especially from the Victorian era, where florography, the art of sending secret messages through flowers, was super popular. Many of these blooms were used to express grief, remembrance, and the hope of peace for the departed. In the Victorian era, it wasn't uncommon to cultivate a mourning garden filled with symbolic plants and flowers meant to represent loss, remembrance, and the afterlife. We're going to talk about some of the flowers that were used and why they were used in those gardens.
Ooh, were daisies one of them? Is that where we got pushing daisies from?
I mean, it might have been, but it wasn't one of the ones I included.
Oh, okay.
First one is lilies. Now, lilies represent purity, innocence, and the soul returning to peace. Lilies are probably the most classical funeral flower. White lilies, in particular, are believed to represent the soul of the deceased being restored to a state of innocence. They're often used in Christian traditions to symbolize resurrection.
They will kill your cats really
Oh,
quickly.
I did not know
Lilies,
that.
if your cat eats a stem, a flower, a petal, like anything from it, if pollen or like particles of it gets on the ground and it gets on their paws and they lick their paws clean, they will go into renal failure in
Oh,
hours. Yeah, they're very dangerous for kitty cats.
I did not know that. Well, keep
Yeah,
lilies away from your fur babies.
I absolutely will.
Yeah. Next are marigolds, which marigolds represent grief, despair, and remembrance of the dead. They were common in both Victorian mourning rituals and Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead traditions. Marigolds were believed to help guide spirits back to the world of the living. Their bright orange and yellow colors stand in contrast to their somber meaning.
I was gonna say they seem like such
I know,
happy flowers.
but I guess they're guiding your spirits back to you, which
Yeah.
Then there are the classic roses. Now, we all know that roses represent love, but they also represent grief and farewell. So, red roses in particular represent deep love and respect. White roses represent innocence and reverence. Pink roses represent grace and remembrance. And black, dyed, or very dark red purple roses represent mourning, farewell, or even a cursed love.
My favorite roses are yellow roses.
Oh, I don't know what they represent. Sorry.
I think they mean friendship. I think it's like a
Okay.
friendship rose.
They weren't on the list.
Yeah.
Then you have chrysanthemums. Now, these represent death, sorrow, and loyalty. And in many European and Asian cultures, chrysanthemums are used only for funerals or on graves. In Japan, they symbolize grief and the afterlife. In France and Belgium, they are exclusively used for mourning.
I like that they're different in the different cultures, but they all have to
Yeah,
do with death.
exactly. That is very interesting to me. Next, you have cypress and yew trees, which represent eternal mourning and the afterlife. So these aren't flowers, but they were commonly planted in mourning gardens and cemeteries. Their evergreen nature made them symbols of eternal life, and their eerie, shadowy vibe didn't hurt either. Then we have violets, which represent modesty, remembrance, and mourning young lives. So, especially used when someone dies young, violets were thought to represent innocence and fragile beauty. Queen Victoria famously planted them on the graves of young children.
Hmm. I didn't know that.
Me either. And last, we have forget me nots.
Makes sense.
Forget me nots represent remembrance and everlasting love. It is a sweet but haunting little flower, often planted at graves or used in lockets to remember lost loved ones. Some stories claim that the spirits of the deceased lingered in these gardens, drawn to the flowers planted in their memory, especially when the scent of morning bloomed. Now we are going to get into the sciencey part of this episode and talk about how plants communicate.
I love the science.
Me too. Plants have a fascinating way of communicating with each other that goes beyond the typical idea that we as humans associate with communication. First, there is chemical signaling. Plants release volatile organic compounds, VOCs, when they experience stress, such as an insect attack or physical damage. These chemicals signals serve several purposes. So, kind of like you said with the grass.
Mhm.
One, they're warning neighbors when a plant is attacked by pests or herbivores. It can release VOCs into the air to alert nearby plants to start producing defense chemicals such as toxins or sticky resins to deter attackers. It also can help attract predators. So, some plants release specific compounds that attract natural predators or parasitoids of the pest attacking them. For example, a plant being eaten by caterpillars might release a chemical that lures a predatory wasp to kill the caterpillar.
That's fascinating.
I thought so too. I did not know that. I knew about, like, the chemicals, but like, the smells, but I didn't realize that they could do that with attracting predators.
Yeah.
And last part of chemical signaling is inhibiting growth. So certain plants will release chemicals to inhibit the growth of competing plants nearby. This is known as allelopathy, and it helps the plant maintain dominance over its space and resources.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting too.
Yeah. Next, we have mycorrhizal networks, which is known, funnily enough, as the wood wide web. Beneath the soil, an intricate network of fungi known as mycorrhizae connects the roots of plants. This underground wood wide web allows plants to share nutrients. So, through this network, plants can exchange nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and carbon. A tree, for example, may send sugars to a nearby seedling in exchange for minerals from the soil. They also can use this network to send alarm signals. When one plant experiences damage or stress, such as an insect attack or disease, it can send a chemical signal through the fungal network to warn other plants in the area. This allows the nearby plants to activate their defense mechanisms in advance. And they also help to support their struggling neighbors. So, older or healthier plants in the network can send nutrients to weaker or younger plants, helping them survive in harsher conditions.
Biology is wild, man.
Isn't it?
It's just we live in this world where we feel like we are so cool and amazing and, like, "Oh, we're so evolved," or I just and we have no
Yeah,
idea of just, like, everything that goes on with other living things that I mean, I
I
guess some
know.
people I didn't know. I'm not saying that everybody else out there is
I didn't
ignorant
know.
as I am on the information, but it is pretty
Yeah, I did
fascinating.
not know any of this either, which is why, as I started to research this, I was like, this has to be a full blown episode because there's just too much fascinating stuff not to put into it.
Everybody needs to know this.
Mhm. Next, we have just electrical signaling. So, plants also use electrical signals to communicate. When a plant is damaged, it sends an electrical signal through its vascular system, similar to how our nerves transmit signals in animals. This can trigger the plant to produce defensive compounds like secondary metabolics or toxins, and it's how plants know when they need to close their leaves to protect themselves from predators or other harsh conditions. Then there is root signaling. So, roots play a vital role in plant communication as well. When roots are damaged or infected by pathogens, plants release chemicals into the soil to signal neighboring plants to enhance their defense mechanisms. Roots can compete for resources by releasing exudates that inhibit the growth of other plants, making the areas less hospitable for competitors.
It's fascinating.
I know. Then there is pollination communication. Plants can also communicate with pollinators, though this is more of a mutual relationship. So, flowers use bright colors and scents and nectars to signal to insects, birds, and bats that they are a source of food. In return, the pollinators carry the plant's pollen to other flowers, aiding in reproduction. This exchange of resources is from signaling and communication between species as plants rely on pollinators for successful reproduction. Now,
And
that I did know.
that, ladies and gentlemen, is where babies come from.
Baby plants,
Babies.
baby plants,
Babies.
just babies?
It's a family-friendly show.
Oh,
Babies. I'm
okay.
just joking.
So confused.
It was supposed to be a joke.
It wasn't fun. No. But that fact I did know, and I can thank Miss Frizzle for that.
Miss Frizzle was the best. We've done
She
her
was,
wrong.
yeah,
We've done her wrong.
we have. She's the greatest. She's how I learned most of my science.
I learned a lot from her while my kids watched it.
Well, I don't really remember watching it when I was a kid, but when I was a teacher, we watched it a lot.
Yeah, so, like, A lot of the stuff I probably learned but had forgotten, and then I,
Yes.
like, relearned a lot of
Relearned
it
it.
by
Yeah,
watching when the kids would watch.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
great. And last, we just have plant memory. Recent research has suggested that plants may have a form of memory. When plants experience a stressful event, such as being attacked by pests, they can remember the event and react more quickly the next time a similar threat occurs. So, kind of similar to the trees remembering trauma. This form of learning helps them to adapt to their environment, even though they don't have brains or nervous systems like animals. And that, my friends, is called evolution. So, how does this all play into myths, magic, and the paranormal?
I don't
So,
know, Jen, how?
I'm going to tell you, Kelly, given these communication abilities, it is easy to see how plants might have been seen as mystical or powerful throughout history. In ancient cultures, plants that could communicate or alert others to danger might have been considered connected to spiritual realms or deities. The idea that plants could speak to each other or to the spirits has helped fuel centuries of myth and legend and the supernatural power of plants. These abilities might sound fantastical, but they're very much grounded in real science. Plants have developed these mechanisms to ensure their survival, but they also carry a layer of mysticism in the way that ancient cultures have interpreted these complex behaviors. We are going to now talk about some deadly, cursed, and legendary plants. The first one is Belladonna, also known as deadly nightshade.
Hmm.
Now, belladonna is a perennial plant native to Europe, North Africa, and Western Asia. It features dark bell shaped purple flowers and shiny black berries that are deceptively attractive. That's why you don't eat berries that you don't know when you're lost in the woods. All parts of this plant are toxic, especially the roots and the berries.
They sound beautiful.
Yeah, it does sound, it's very pretty. I will have pictures of all of the, I think most of them I found. I think there was only maybe like one or two things I couldn't find, but there should be pictures of most of these on our social. Belladonna contains a potent tropane alkaloids, atropine, scopolamine, and hyoscyamine, which disrupts the nervous system. Symptoms of poisoning include hallucinations, blurred vision, dry mouth, rapid heartbeat, seizures, and eventually respiratory failure.
Well, that's not good.
No, it sounds, I mean, the hallucinations sound fun, but after that, it goes downhill
Yeah, it
quick.
goes downhill real quick.
So, belladonna, also known as deadly nightshade, has a long history in both ancient poisonings and occult practices. In Roman times, it was used by women to dilate their pupils, hence the name Belladonna, meaning beautiful lady in Italian. However, its toxic properties were also used in assassinations. Cleopatra reportedly used it as a part of her poison arsenal, and it has been implicated in several other royal poisonings. In folklore, it was believed that witches used belladonna in their flying ointments, which were thought to help them fly, a metaphor for hallucinatory experiences induced by the plant's toxic compounds, like those sciencey words that I'm not going to attempt to pronounce again.
Yeah, you remember from
You
like a couple
remember it.
paragraphs ago.
Yeah, it's fine. Do you know where that whole like witches flying brooms came from, Kelly?
The flying broom?
Yeah, like witches flying on a broom.
I don't know where the flying on a broom came from.
Okay.
No.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Are you
I'm
sure you're
ready.
ready?
I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I can't judge because I don't know.
Okay. Witches would use that ointment that I guess included belladonna. I didn't realize that belladonna was on there, but they would use the ointment and they would put it on the edge of the broom. And then they would take that edge of the broom, the handle of the broom, and they would insert it into a certain location on their body. And then they would hallucinate, and that is where witches flying on brooms became a
Hallucinate
thing.
doesn't sound like the only thing they were probably doing.
Probably not. They were having a good old time.
Yeah.
So, historically, belladonna was used by assassins in ancient Rome. The Borgia family, infamous for political killings during the Renaissance, allegedly used it in wine to eliminate rivals. How rude. Don't poison my wine. In more recent history, there have been accidental poisonings, particularly of children mistaking the berries for fruit.
That would be sad.
Yeah. Next, we have castor bean plant, or also known as ricin. Now, the castor bean plant is an ornamental plant with large, spiky seed pods and glossy leaves. It's grown worldwide, especially in tropical and subtropical climates. The seeds are used to extract castor oil, but they also contain ricin, one of the most toxic natural substances known to man. Now, ricin inhibits protein synthesis at the cellular level. And I'm not going to explain what that means because you all know. You know what that means. And if you don't, Google it because
It's probably the act of converting the protein into something usable in the cell.
oh, you're more scientific than I did. I was just reading it. I literally have no idea what that
Well, if you
means.
think of photosynthesis is like, using sunlight to turn,
Yeah.
you know,
Look at you sciencing.
maybe. I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass with protein synthesis. I don't really know. I just, with the word synthesis there, it leads me to believe we are converting the protein into something.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Just a few micrograms can kill an adult if inhaled, ingested, or injected. Symptoms include nausea, internal bleeding, organ failure, and death within days, depending on the dose and method of use.
This is wild because they, some pregnant women drink castor oil to try to go into labor.
It's not the castor oil that does it, it's the ricin.
But still, it's like a little too close of a, I
So
don't know.
these seeds are used to extract castor oil.
Oh, well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But I guess it could, I mean, granted,
So
nowadays,
castor oil doesn't come from that plant.
no. The seeds are used to help extract it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
a lot more sense.
Yeah. Ricin's potential for use in political intrigue and assassinations has made it a terrifying poison of choice. Its existence as a weapon has been documented in both historical conflicts and ritualistic use, particularly in areas where poisoning was a method of eliminating enemies or rivals. In 1978, Bulgarian rebel Georgy Markov was assassinated in London when a ricin pellet was injected into his leg using a modified umbrella, earning it the nickname the Umbrella Murder. Ricin has also been used in modern terrorism attempts, including mail based poison plots.
Okay.
Yeah. Next, we have hemlock. Now, hemlock is a tall, lacy leaved plant with small white flowers, often mistaken for a wild carrot. But please don't eat it. It is also known as Queen Anne's lace. It thrives in temperate climates and grows in fields, ditches, and roadsides. So, next time you get stranded on the side of the road in a temperate climate and you see a carrot growing on the side of the road, please don't eat it because it could
Yeah.
be hemlock. This plant contains conein, which is a neurotoxin that causes ascending muscular paralysis. Victims remain conscious while their respiratory system gradually shuts down, leading to death by asphyxiation. Hemlock's history of use in state sanctioned executions, assassinations, and suicides has cemented its place in dark history. In ancient Greece, the use of hemlock as a merciful death was widely practiced. However, its link to assassinations and secretive poisoning across many cultures speaks to its enduring association with death and the supernatural.
How is that a merciful death? You
Yeah, it's
remain conscious while you asphyxiate.
yeah, that sounds pretty awful actually.
Yeah, like, knock me out and, like
Right.
and then have that maybe that's more merciful, but
I would much rather have Belladonna where I at least get to hallucinate through my death.
right.
The most famous case of execution is Socrates in 399 BCE. He was sentenced to death for corrupting the youth of Athens. He was made to drink a hemlock infused beverage and died while surrounded by his followers, a moment immortalized in art and philosophy.
So I'm gonna age myself, not that I haven't told everybody on this podcast how old I am anyway, but on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure
Hmm.
with Keanu Reeves. I don't know if you ever saw that movie when he
No,
was young and he traveled through time in a phone
N-
booth.
nope. Kind of sounds like Doctor Who, but okay.
Well, no, it like a phone booth like we know, not like a British like phone
Okay.
box. They went to see Socrates and they thought his name was Socrates, and
Oh, okay. It's fair
that's
enough.
how I spell it now.
Okay, next we have the rosary pea, also known as Ibrus pre K Torius. Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds right. Now, this climbing vine produces bright red seeds with a black spot, commonly known as jiquari beans. The seeds are often used in jewelry and prayer beads, especially in South Asia and the Caribbean. The seeds contain abrin, which is a ribosine inhibiting protein similar to ricin, but even more toxic if the hard seed coat is broken, chewed, crushed, or drilled while making jewelry. One seed can be fatal. Now, the rosary pea is known for its striking red and black seeds, often used in prayer beads in Hinduism and other cultures. Are you okay?
Sorry,
You're like dying over there.
I'm dying. So what Jen has clearly cut out that you guys can't hear is I am over here sneezing and coughing to death. But it is allergy season, so
Oh, yeah,
if I sound like I'm half dead now and stuffy,
that's
that's
why.
why.
Okay. Native to Africa and Asia, the seeds contain abrin, a deadly toxin, as I just said. Historically, they've been used for poisoning in assassinations and secret killings due to their potency. In some cultures, the seeds were part of rituals and spiritual practices, symbolizing both protection and danger. Their use in dark magic as a tool for vengeance or execution made them feared despite their beauty. So in 2011, a Florida man named Christopher McKinney, because, we got to always bring in a Florida man,
Right.
was arrested after attempting to poison a coworker using a homemade mixture of rosary pea seeds. Fortunately, the coworker survived, but the incident highlighted the dangers of these seemingly decorative seeds. Next, we have Datura, aka the devil's trumpet or moonflowers. Datura is a flowering plant with large trumpet shaped blooms. It is usually white or purple and has a spiny seed pod. It is found around the world, especially in warm climates, and it is also known for its use in traditional medicine and rituals. But Datura contains high levels of tropane alkaloids, including scopolamine and atropine. These chemicals cause intense hallucinations, confusion, memory loss, hypothermia, and potentially death due to respiratory failure or heart arrhythmias.
That doesn't
Sounds
sound fun at
awful.
all.
No. Datura has long been used in shamanic rituals, particularly by indigenous cultures in the Americas, to induce hallucinations. Now, that sounds fun. And
Mhm.
altered states of consciousness. Its dangerous properties have earned it a place in both witchcraft and poisoning lore. In ancient India, datura was used to offer visions during spiritual ceremonies, but its lethal toxicity also made it a tool for those looking to eliminate rivals without leaving a trace. Not only does it have a long history of poisoning, but it is also steeped in myth, often linked to dark gods and spirits. The belief that it connects humans to the spirit world has made it a favorite herb in ritualistic sacrifices and dark magic. Now, in 1995, several people in India were poisoned with food laced with datura seeds during a robbery. The victims were rendered unconscious or severely confused. I'm always severely confused,
Seriously.
allowing the thieves to rob them without resistance. Such use is still reported in various parts of South Asia.
Maybe that's our problem. We're just being poisoned by datura seeds.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm so confused all the time.
Yeah.
Well, now that you all know what plants to use to poison your enemies, we are going to move on to haunted slash cursed gardens.
Ooh, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
So the first one is the Garden of Bomarzo. Now, this is located in Bomarzo, Italy. So, brief history: the Gardens of Bomarzo, also known as the Parco dei Mostri, Park of Monsters, was designed in the 16th century by Prince Vincino Orsini and the architect Piero Ligaroa. The garden was built as a tribute to the prince's late wife, Julia Farnese, in an attempt to overcome his grief. The park contains a series of surreal and disturbing sculptures, including massive figures of mythical creatures and eerie symbols, making it stand out from the more traditional Renaissance gardens.
Huh.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I
It
want to visit.
does.
Sounds really cool looking. Now, many visitors feel a strong sense of unease in the park due to its odd, twisted sculptures. It is said that the mournful intent behind the garden's creation has left behind an eerie atmosphere where the spirits of the dead are trapped within the grotesque statues. Some have reported hearing whispers, seeing shadows move, or feeling a presence that seems to follow them as they walk among the massive stone figures. The combination of the park's bizarre design and its dark origins contribute to its haunted reputation.
That sounds fascinating. Let's
Yeah,
go.
it's in Italy. I want to go.
Sure.
The next one I know you will want to go because it's in Ireland. And
Ooh,
this is Killakee House and Garden, and this is in Dublin. Now, Killakee House, located in the Dublin Mountains, dates back to the 18th century. It was once the residence of the St. Lawrence family, who built it as a country house. The estate's garden is closely tied to the notorious Hellfire Club, an infamous group that gathered in the house for secretive meetings with rumors of satanic rituals and dark practices. Now, the house and garden are considered haunted due to their association with the Hellfire Club, known for occult practices and the dark history of the family that inhabited the house. Visitors report seeing apparitions, hearing strange noises, and feeling cold drafts in the garden and around the house. The area is believed to be cursed by the twisted events of the past, with some saying the spirits of the Hellfires Club's former members continue to haunt the ground, bound by their dark rituals.
I call BS.
Yeah,
I mean, if this is a hellfire club with like occult practices and like satanic rituals, and you're telling me that the activity there is like hearing strange noises and feeling cold drafts in the garden, like I would think satanic rituals has got to bring a little bit more terrifying paranormal activity.
probably.
Yeah,
Probably. And it could just be in everybody's head because of the associations with the Hellfire Club.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, next is one that most people probably have heard of, And this is the Garden of Versailles in France. The garden was designed by the famous landscape architect André Le Notre in the 17th century at the request of King Louis XIV. The gardens are renowned for their geometric layouts, stunning fountains, and elaborate sculptures, serving as an extension of the luxurious and grandeur of the Palace of Versailles. The gardens were a symbol of the king's absolute power and wealth. Sounds like something Donald Trump would do.
Yes, it does.
And they remain one of the most visited tourist attractions in the world.
Except nobody would visit his garden.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch his garden. Despite the beauty of the gardens, there are rumors of paranormal activity tied to the turbulent history of the French monarchy. The spirit of Marie Antoinette is said to haunt the gardens, with many visitors reporting sightings of a woman in a white gown walking near the fountains. There are also stories of people experiencing a sense of unease, hearing phantom footsteps, or seeing strange lights in the garden late at night. Some believe the souls of those who suffered during the revolution still linger, unable to find peace.
Did Marie Antoinette, did the lady have a head or not?
I don't know. Do you get your head back after you become a ghost?
Well, if you watch the British version of Ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
there is somebody that was beheaded and he did have his head, but it fell off all the time. His name was Humphrey.
Oh, he was in like the very beginning of the American version of Ghost, but then he like disappeared and never came back.
Was he?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So maybe she just has her head on her.
Maybe.
But if you scare her, it'll fall off. I don't know. I don't know how pretend to know how ghosts work.
What do you mean you don't pretend to know how ghosts work? We have a paranormal podcast. If anybody's supposed to pretend to know how ghosts work, it's us.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. So I'm going to just pretend like that none of that happened. And I'm just going to say,
Okay.
yeah, Kelly, she has a head, but if you spook her, it'll fall off.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting how it works like that.
It does. It's, yeah. Occasionally she loses it and can't find it, which is kind of challenging.
I wonder if
But
like other entities in the garden
if they
help
can
her
help her.
find her head. Yeah.
Well, it depends what type of ghost she is. If she's a mean ghost, then they probably hide her head from her.
Valid point.
But if she's a nice ghost, then they probably help her.
Yeah.
She's probably just telling all the other ghosts to eat cake.
Probably.
Yeah. Next, we have the Versailles Museum and Gardens in Miami, Florida. Someplace a little more local for everybody. Now, the Versailles Museum and Gardens was built between 1914 and 1922 by industrialist James Deering as his winter estate. The estate was designed in a Mediterranean revival style, featuring elaborate gardens, sculptures, and water features. After Deering's death, the estate was donated to Miami-Dade County and opened as a museum in 1953. The gardens, which included lush tropical plants, fountains, and walkways, are a prime example of classic garden design. Now, there are numerous accounts of paranormal activity here, particularly in the gardens. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly apparitions, hearing unexplained voices, and even feeling cold spots in certain areas of the garden. Now, if you have ever been to Miami, it's pretty rare to find a cold spot. So,
Yeah, I would imagine, especially outside. Yeah.
yeah. So, ghost for sure. Some believe that the spirit of James Deering still lingers on the property, and his restless energy is felt by those who walk the paths he once frequented. The garden's serene beauty contrasts with the eerie atmosphere, leading some to speculate that the spirits of the past never truly left. And last but not least, we have another local to me Florida location, the
Well,
Devil's Garden.
Next time I come see you, we'll have to just tour Florida.
Yeah,
to all these
Miami's
places.
pretty far, but I don't know how far the Devil's Garden is. I'd have to look it up.
Okay.
Now, the Devil's Garden is located in Big Cypress Swamp in southern Florida. Southern, so Still probably pretty far. It's a remote and largely untouched area within Big Cypress National Preserve, which is a vast wetland that is home to a diverse range of wildlife. The swamp is known for its mysterious and desolate nature, and the area known as the Devil's Garden has long been associated with anonymous local legends. The garden itself is barren of much plant life, earning its name due to the belief that nothing will grow there because of dark forces. Now, the Devil's Garden is often described as cursed due to its eerie, barren appearance and unsettling local folklore surrounding it. Some believe that the garden is the site of a powerful curse, with stories that it was once walked through by the devil himself, leaving a lingering negative energy that prevents vegetation from thriving. There are tales of people disappearing in the swamp, probably alligators, unexplained lights in the distance, and strange sounds that can be heard during the night, probably some of the other weird creatures in Florida.
Yes.
Locals avoid the area, considering it to be a place of bad luck or supernatural influence.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I would still go.
Yeah, I would.
I'd go to all these places.
Same.
Yeah.
I'd like to spend the most time in Ireland.
Yeah.
With the
fair.
Irish men and women and non-binary pals. I
Absolutely.
don't discriminate is what I'm saying.
No, exactly. Invite them all.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of this episode about deadly plants and haunted gardens. From the sinister allure of flowers used in mourning, like lilies and marigolds, to the terrifying blooms of the various poisonous flowers, there is no denying the eerie and mystical connections between nature and the supernatural. Whether it's the plants that have claimed lives or the eerie feeling of a graveyard garden, these landscapes are a testament to the power of nature's darker forces.
If you loved what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen. Your support helps us reach even more listeners and share even more spooky stories, which we love to do.
We do. And please go follow us on Instagram at Not My Ghost Podcast and on Facebook at Not My Ghost, Not My Problem. We will post pictures of all these poisonous plants so you can avoid them, and these haunted gardens so you can go visit them, and other stuff as well. I lost that sentence.
It got away from you there at the end.
It got away from me. It did. It did.
If you want even more ghostly content, consider joining our Patreon. We have some fantastic exclusive perks for our supporters. That's patreon.com/notmyghost, And if you've ever had a spine-tingling paranormal encounter of your own, share your story with us at notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com. And you're going to hear it featured on a future episode because we need stories.
We do.
Please email us.
Please. Well, thank you for joining us on this haunting journey through the world of deadly plants and haunted gardens. Remember, as you wander through ancient graveyards and lush, eerie landscapes, keep this in mind.
If it's not your garden,
it's not your problem.
Until next time, stay spooky.
And stay skeptical.